an idea of your emotions stepping in there Saturday against Pitt?
I think the biggest thing, is just being able to control those emotions. It's going to be, a lot of the atmosphere along with like, who we're playing, everything. Emotions going to be really high, in my opinion. I think it's just about like controlling those emotions, just realizing like we have to go out there, still have a job to do, play football, have a game to win and everything. So I feel like the biggest thing we just got to come in focused, locked in, and be able to control those emotions because they're really going to be high.
You remember those emotions when you found out you were going to play Pitt and get to play there?
Yeah, for sure. I remember, I forget who I was talking to, but I remember it got confirmed. I was out here on the field actually, and I was told, I was kind of like, in that moment, like shocked and like kind of like, like really excited because, we played bigger teams in the past, ACC teams as well, Boston College, Florida State and everything. So, finally get to play Pitt, the Pittsburgh team, the FBS program that's like right down the street. It's a dream come true for a lot of us. A lot of us are from Pittsburgh, so, it's going to be a real exciting moment.
In those two games you had played against FBS opponents, as you mentioned West Virginia and Boston College, what did you take from those games that you're hoping to kind of keep in mind when you step on that field on Saturday?
I think the biggest thing is just like understand as a defense, as a team, that like we belong, in my opinion. Us being FCS and everything, playing against bigger teams, it's always going to come with that chip on our shoulder. Everyone's looking at it to be a blowout or us to not be able to compete or them just being better in every aspect. And I think us as like a team, we come in with the mindset like we do everything the same way they do. We put our 11 out there, they put their 11 out there, and let's just go play football.
What jumped out on the scouting report?
I say, they bring a lot of experience back, with on the offensive side. Quarterback, played a lot last year. The running backs really good. They have a bunch of receivers who can run and everything. So I think the biggest thing is, they have a lot of, veterans, people who've played, have experience. So just come with our defense, to match that, with our veterans and our leadership, just to, go out there and have a good game.
Is there a different approach because their offense is so fast-paced?
I say a little bit. We played faster-paced teams in the past. I remember it comes back to me last year. Toledo, they were a real high-tempo, fast offense. So I think having that experience, dealing with that, kind of put us in the right place for this game. Because I know they're going to come out, fast-paced, real tempo, try to speed us up, catch us off guard and everything. So that's something we're looking forward to and we expect.
The last time Duquesne played Pitt was the late 1930s. So that far in the past, obviously, there's not like really like alums you can just reach out to and ask how was the experience. But I don't know. There is that historical connection there. Is that of interest at all to you or maybe the guys on the team just looking through the scrapbooks or just trying to see how that series was back in the 20s and 30s, or is that not really a thing?
I'd say for me personally it is. When I like found out we were playing them, everything, like I didn't know how many times we played Pitt in the past, like at Duquesne as university. So I kind of like went back and like looked at a little bit of history and everything. I think the last time was 13? I don't remember the exact 39. Yeah, not 39. I think Duquesne won it. That was the game they won. We won the most recent one. So, it's kind of just looking back at that history. Understanding like like two Pittsburgh teams finally get to play against each other again. Quote unquote like the city game. Like the basketball game. It's just finally good to go out there and play like the Pittsburgh FBS team.
What does it mean to the team to play on the biggest stage for football in Pittsburgh?
I think it means a lot for us. A lot of us take pride in this moment. Like I said, a lot of us have played bigger teams and everything. So, finally getting to play like the Pittsburgh team that like we're all familiar with. Like me personally, I've never played in that stadium. I've only been to Steeler games, Pitt games. For me personally, it's going to be a dream come true to finally like get out there on the field and be able to play football on it.
Were you a Pitt fan growing up?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I had a bunch of like cousins and relatives who played at Pitt, so I was always a big Pitt fan growing up.
Were you hopeful? And were you ever on their radar?
A little bit. My junior year, I was talking to their safety coach, Archie Collins, a little bit. Talked to Narduzzi a little bit, so I was familiar with like Pitt and everything. I was talking to him a little bit my junior year, but unfortunately, that fell through, and I'm happy to be at Duquesne.
Will that be going through your mind at all on Saturday? Want to show Deuce what he missed out on a little bit?
I remember when we found out we were playing them. It kind of brought back those memories, a little bit of like when I was like talking to them and everything kind of just happened the way it did. But I mean, I'm not really gonna be too focused on it. I'm focused on our guys here, the team here. Going out there to be able to bring home a win.
You said you haven't played at Acrisure, but you've got a handful, or if not more, than a handful of teammates who have played in. How much have you guys talked about that? Just because it is, a bigger arena that makes it just a different challenge.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple guys. A couple guys like in high school, they played their WPO championships on that field and everything. So just hearing what they had to say about it, the experience, the atmosphere, and everything, it was all like positive things. So I'm looking forward to myself getting out there, being able to play in front of the crowd, being able to play in front of friends and family, being able to play with my guys, my teammates, and everything. It's just going to be a great experience, and I can't wait for it.
Do you think you're going to take a minute or two just to kind of soak
there?
Yeah, I told myself, when I get on the field, I might like lay down. Sometimes I just lay down like on the ground and just kind of just like look up at the sky and everything, just kind of like take it in. Because I've been trying to tell like our guys all week, it's football. We're going in to win and everything, but enjoy the moment. Not too many opportunities come like this. Being able to get there a lot for our Pittsburgh guys. To get in that stadium, play against Pitt and everything. Just take it all in and seize the opportunity.
Do you let your mind drift to what might happen?
A little bit. I'm like a real visualist. Like I like to like imagine things before they happen. So, like when I'm out there like on the field, like I like to imagine like a big play or something happen. To like make it come true. I feel like the more like I think about it, process it happening, that it will happen. So that's kind of like where my mindset is at on the field.
What's the confidence in the locker room, and just what kind of game do you guys have to put forth to go out there and shock Pitt?
I think the confidence is real high. Everyone in this room, defensively, team-wise in general, we have a lot of experience, a lot of older guys who've played games like this before, and I feel like that will help carry into this game and everything. And I think going in like with the mindset that we just belong. Like obviously we hear it all the time. Why are we playing a bigger team? There's no shot, all that nonsense. We don't really listen to it. I understand. Like I said before, we go out there with our 11, they go out there with 11. It's football. We gotta go out there and just play football.
You have a relationship with anybody over at Pitt now? Friends, any buddies over there?
Not really. No, I don't really have too many friends on Pitt team this year. So.